Greetings and salutations from a very chilly studio here at the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. It's the incredibly, creatively, and appropriately named and now nipple-erecting Query and Schultz program.
Let's get that in post. I don't want to ever use the E word on this show, unless somebody wants to pay us to say that, which actually happened in the radio days. Remember, we had one salesperson that really wanted you to do
that's right.
the male pills, if you will.
Yeah.
And he would not let up about that.
Yeah,
he wanted his commission, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. How about your Indianapolis Colts, who are now 1-3, Derek? They win over the Miami Dolphins. And look, a win is a win in the NFL. It gets tough. You knew the beginning of the season was a gauntlet for the Colts, but they had to get a win somewhere because, even if they were to rip off 5 in a row, then they're, 6-3 at that point. It's tough.
No, for sure. It was a game. I know people tire of the whole must win. It was a game they had to have. If you fall into an 0-4 hole going to Baltimore, one of the best teams in the AFC on Monday Night Football, you are in real trouble. And it's really hard to dig out of an 0-4 hole. So this was a game, especially seeing kind of, the Dolphins last year were weird. That was a pretty good team.
I know.
Right? They ended up winning.
10 wins, right?
They won 10 games. They had a chance to win the 11th and keep the Colts out of the playoffs. And, of course, they lost on the season's final day to Buffalo. But this year, they are not a good team. And you can say, well, Tua's hurt. But Tua kind of stinks so far. So it's hard to really know. I won't say stinks. The jury is still very much out on Tua. You know exactly who Jacoby Brissett is, and he turned in a classic Jacoby Brissett performance, right? Doesn't turn the ball over. Okay, great. Couple of touchdown throws, threw for 100-something yards. That's kind of what you get for Brissett. He's not going to lose you the game. He ain't going to win you the game, and that's what you had yesterday. So, especially with the way the first quarter went, because it was ugly.
I know.
It looked bad. It looked like, are the Colts going to score a point today?
Right.
And then once that first touchdown drive happened, they never really relinquished control of that game.
Derek, the Colts did two things yesterday that one was really obvious and the other I've been waiting forever. The second of those is they got Mo Alley-Cox involved, and maybe Carson Wentz starts to find that as kind of a safety blanket. But the other, and most importantly, and maybe that's what kind of opened up things for even the short passing game, but they finally decided, you know what, we're going to start running the football. And I know that we are in an antiquated era of the whole run the football world, but in the Colts case, when you've got a guy back there that is capable of doing what Jonathan Taylor can do, you got to hand him the football.
Yeah, it kind of reverted back to all of the things that we thought going into the season were going to be strengths for the Colts, right? And notably, running the ball, stopping the run. That's the other thing that they did yesterday really well. I'm looking here. They gave up 35 rushing yards, 2.2 yards per carry to the Dolphins yesterday. And they themselves, Jonathan Taylor goes over the century mark and then has that, had a couple of long runs. He had the 23-yard touchdown run. He had a 30-yard run that was mixed in there as well. And they did that without Quentin Nelson and without Braden Smith. So that's pretty good. You did that basically with 3.5 NFL caliber linemen.
Right.
But that's what the Colts really yesterday just kind of followed that blueprint of what the Colts need to do if they're going to be successful, and we didn't see that a lot in the first couple of weeks.
I thought in the first, I think it was in the first half, late in the half, the Colts had a 4th and 1 in their own territory.
Yeah, 4th and inches, really, yeah.
In what are they, the 30, 35, somewhere in there. And they go for it, right? And I thought to myself, this is an example of Frank Reich perhaps being an almost overthinking it, over-aggressive riverboat gambler. And then, Derek, just as I thought that, I thought from the other side of the brain, which was the one that won out, and I thought actually what Frank Reich is realizing is he knows the quarterback that is going to get the football if he doesn't convert, and he's not afraid of him. I think Frank Reich thought, I can gamble here because if we don't get this 4th down, that means that Jacoby Brissett is going to get the football, and at the very least we give up a field goal.
I think there's probably something to that, but also I think I'd have to go back and look at the last, what is this now, year 4 for Reich? I'd have to look at the last 4 seasons. I can't imagine many 4th and inches situations where he didn't go for it.
Right.
Outside of this, I guess, if it's 4th and inches on your own 30 and you're up 17, there's no reason to go for it, right? But 4th and inches to me is basically when the game is still in doubt or it's a close game, that's almost an auto go for it for me. And I think most NFL coaches now in 2021 feel the same way.
Do you ever get, like when I'm talking to you, I can see in my vision, my peripheral, that there's apparently an errant eyebrow here.
Yeah.
Is there? Do I have one here?
You're asking me if I ever have errant eyebrow hairs?
I'm just.
It's like 2 caterpillars got lodged up there and suffocated and died.
You can get. I get.
Well, no, I trim them up and all of that. Yeah.
Does it look like I have one that's rogue?
I don't see one.
Because
then again, they're all gray, so it's hard to tell.
I know. Right now, though, all I can see, like I'm trying to look at you, and all I can see is
weird because I don't want to look into your eyes. No.
Okay.
You know what? I've always had this conspiracy theory that you somehow are able to control, because there's no really logical explanation why people trust you and like you and all of that. You're able to somehow control people through your eyes. I don't know how.
That I am, or that human beings are.
This is a really weird thing to bring up, but there are a lot of people that message me about you, criticizing you a lot. But the second most prevalent thing that I get is people complimenting your looks. And a lot of times it's like grown men.
Really?
Yes. That are married and straight and all that. Yes.
And what do they say?
It's the weirdest thing.
Do you have an example that you can cite?
Jake's very professional looking. I wore a T-shirt one day that, you should dress more like Jake. And I'm like, dress more like Jake? He wears Pacers hoodies and Knicks tearaway pants. And, you raid Donnie Walsh's closet from his NBA swag deal and get everything in there.
No rating. Those are still tags on them.
And I occasionally, and we had a lot of female listeners. We still have a lot of female viewers. I get that as well. Jake's got really nice blue eyes.
You're saying I control people through
my
eyes?
Why are you telling me this? I don't care. What do you want me to say? Okay. Jake's a very handsome guy.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid of the spell I can put you under if you look into my eyes?
I think there is something like dark magic. I don't know what it is.
10 years now. I'm now finding out for the
serious.
first time. Derek is mesmerized by my blue eyes.
No, I don't fall victim to it. Everyone else around me does. I mean, my dog, my friends, my family, listeners of the show, everyone falls under the jQuery spell, and I don't get it.
Well, I've been long waiting for the Colts to fall under the Mo Alley Cox spell, and it finally happened. Derek, this is a guy that I think is Greg said it earlier, a Clydesdale. It's true. I mean, he is, everybody else is a horse, and he's the Clydesdale in the stable. He's just bigger, he just has a presence about him.
Yeah.
Now that he's kind of learned, I think, how to play the game, he can be a dangerous weapon for them that I feel like they have not gone to enough. And by the way, you can get a Mo Alley Cox T-shirt at the shop. The Shop Indy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, theshopindy.com, 918 Broad Ripple Avenue, also in Clay Terrace.
Yeah, he's a gifted athlete and just a big dude. And I don't know why the Colts historically have never really had that guy. Even when you go back to the Peyton Manning era, Harrison and Wayne were all about precision and route running. You know what I mean?
There was nobody that Dallas Clark would be the only renegade bull in the China
But
shop.
even Dallas Clark wasn't a throw the ball up, go get it guy.
Correct.
Mo Alley Cox is throw it up there, go get it, man. And I like that Carson Wentz is aggressive enough to put it in his receiver's hands like that and say, go get it.
Derek, I thought Carson Wentz looked, and I know that Carson Wentz is not 100%, and you could tell in particular his mobility looked better than the week before, but you could still tell, on the sidelines when he was moving, that he was definitely favoring on his ankles. But I think that Carson Wentz continues to show why Chris Ballard was willing to sign him and believe in him. I think when he needs to create space, he can. I think he's got a strong arm. There are times, yes, where he probably does hold on to the ball too long, but I think that there are very intriguing skills that Carson Wentz possesses that he has shown.
He's not talentless, right? I think there was no, but
I mean, but you're making it sound like he's Mitchell Trubisky.
No. I think there were some people, and I was kind of in this group as well. I wanted him to prove it. I think there were people that were convinced that he was broken after last year.
Okay.
I wasn't convinced he was broken, but I wasn't writing off the possibility that last year was not a fluke, that he has at least shown that last year clearly was an outlier, right? He is not broken. He's got a great arm.
He does.
When he's healthy, he can really move. Even when he's not healthy, he can move more than, say, Phillip Rivers, who was kind of a statue back there. And he can make great throws. But most NFL quarterbacks can do those things. I think the question for Carson Wentz is, how good can you get? You know, how can you do this consistently, and can you do this at an even higher level? And as he gets healthier, I hope we can kind of find out that. Stephen Holder of The Athletic had a great piece today about how the Colts feel like maybe now they can start to decide, okay, what do we have here in Carson Wentz? Because I'm still kind of waiting to make that determination, aren't you?
Derek, I'm impressed by him. I feel like I do think that he is capable of being a top 10 quarterback. If he has time, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not there.
Okay. In his defense, how many playmaking receivers does he have?
Yeah, I agree. Well, Paris Campbell's supposed to be one, but here we are waiting. What do you have, like 2 catches yesterday?
Michael Pittman looks like a nice player.
Yeah, I think Michael Pittman's going to have a very good NFL career.
Correct.
I'm not sure he's ever
Good
going
way
to be
of
an
saying
elite player, but yeah.
Agreed. So Pittman is reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Mo Alley Cox, is he reliable? You know, I don't know, but at least he's a target.
Doyle, reliable. Nyheim Hines is a reliable pass catcher.
Nyheim Hines out of the backfield is a nice.
You don't have any
wrinkle for them.
dynamic guys, though, I don't think.
So far, who has been protecting him?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So in that regard, I just look at – I think it's very difficult at this point to throw too much at him because – too much criticism at him because he hasn't had any advantage.
But you can do that with a lot of quarterbacks. Like, what did Marcus Mariota have for pass catchers in Tennessee, right? And he was bland and kind of average.
Marcus Mariota had a lot. I mean, he got it. Marcus Mariota didn't have anything in his history to show you a baseline. Carson Wentz has had success,
That's fair.
You know that. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree there. Wentz has more talent than Mariota. I think that's pretty clear. I'm just saying that, you know, you can do this with a lot of quarterbacks where you say, okay, what do they have around him? And you know, the truly elite ones step up above that level. I'm not shut off to the possibility that Carson Wentz could be a back half top 10 quarterback, but I think where he's going to settle in, and this is what I've always thought, I think he's going to settle in that 12 to 15 kind of range. And unfortunately, that's a tough place to be, Jake, because
I think,
you know, that's like Andy Dalton prime level.
I'll be
Alex Smith.
I love his size and his mobility. I just think, you know, he's a bigger quarterback. Durability, that's an issue, no question about it. But I think when you've got the size that he has, you can see the field, you can extend plays by maneuvering in the pocket. I think, to me, it's all very intriguing.
If you add up all the circumstances, I think Carson Wentz has played pretty well this season. I would give him a B. I think he's just been I think he's been solid. When you add up the health, the Colts offensive line, everything going on through four games.
I will grant you this. Everything that I say I like about Carson Wentz is predicated upon a lot of things around him being gelled and in place.
Yeah.
And it's difficult in the NFL to rely on things around you to be gelled and in place because more often than not, they're not going to be.
And that's why the great ones are able to overcome that regardless of what's around them.
We have a lot to get to today, as a matter of fact, beyond just the Colts, but we have a lot of segments to do. We have, obviously,
new sponsors.
American Dairy Association
is
going to give us their winner of the week. We also have our Love That Play to get to. We have the Indiana Members Credit Union Player of the Week.
Yes, Player of the Week, which is always a Colt. But
okay. You mean it's a Colt segment?
No, we're not allowed to say that it's a Colt segment, but it always ends up being a Colt. See what I did there? So it's the Player of the Week, but we can pick whichever player we want. We always end up picking a Colt.
Okay. Very well done.
Yeah.
What else do we have to get to? I'm trying to think here.
Biter Bowl Bleep with a
Biter
shot.
Bowl Bleep, yep.
And a couple of new sponsors as well.
Hey, you had some barbecue over the weekend, right?
Oh, God, it was good. It was really, really good. Actually, it was Friday.
Smoke and Barrel Barbecue.
Had Friday lunch,
Celebrating
Smoke and Barrel
5
Barbecue.
years in Indianapolis, right?
Mike and CJ run that joint, and it's on the far, far east side, South German Church Road. If you go, I think, another block or so, you are out of Warren Township.
Okay.
But it's they have a kitchen there in a bingo hall, and it's awesome. Like, I was eating authentic, delicious barbecue in a bingo hall.
Do you smell the barbecue, too?
You do.
It's just the best.
And I had multiple people recommend to me, hey, get the brisket tacos. And I'm thinking to myself, taco? Like, I just like straight brisket. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what I always get at barbecue joints. And I got the brisket tacos, and they were freaking amazing. I thought about them all weekend.
Really?
Yeah. Like, Notre Dame's playing Cincinnati, and I'm kind of watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, brisket tacos. Like,
well, considering
that's all
that
I
you were
thought
watching
about.
it for Notre Dame, it's probably a good thing.
You can
were thinking
order
about brisket
online
tacos.
and pick up there. You can eat there if you like Rake and I did, and we met with Mike and CJ, and they're super nice people, husband and wife team. But there was a whole drive-through lane of people picking up barbecue. In fact, they ran out on Saturday because the response was so overwhelming.
And because people wanted to get away from the Notre Dame Cincinnati
Well, yes, that too. Smokin-barrel, 1L, bbq.com to check out the menu and order online. But if you're an East Sider, especially, this has to be like an every week place for you.
Put up a full-screen graphic
So
of that.
good. My wife said, I got a pint of
Can
mac
you
and
give
cheese.
me the website again?
One sec. My wife said it is the best mac and cheese she's ever had in her life.
Can you give me the
And
website
I would
again?
concur. It's great.
Smokin'? Yep.
dash barrel, 1L. I always want to put 2 L's on barrel. Is that weird? That and occasionally are 2 words that I'm never able to spell. Dash bbq.com.
Well, that's pretty easy.
Yep.
But hold on. See, this is the. Let me tell you something. This ain't Wayne's World, folks. See if they can zoom in on that bad boy. There's your website right there.
We have graphics, Jake. We don't really
but it
need
doesn't
to
have
do
the website on it.
We don't need to do construction paper.
Look at that. See how perfect that is?
Oh, come on.
And look at my.
It looks low rent.
I also think people love my handwriting.
This is a professional television show.
Although
I
I-
want to make
I
sure
need
that
to make-
everything that we do reflects
I need to
that.
make one thing sure here. Okay, here we go. Let's do it one more time. One of the letters wasn't completed with my paint pen. There we go.
Okay. Jordan, we'll cut all that in post so Jake can hold that up, but we're not actually going to air that.
Yeah, just right there.
I was going to send this to Mike and CJ, and now you're ruining it for me.
What do you mean?
Smoke and Barrel Barbecue on the east side. Happy to have them aboard for the month of October.
Very happy.
Really, 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 really good.
And you actually, there was a nice photo that you took. Thanks for the invite.
You had just finished the morning show of doing that all week, and I figured you wanted to sleep.
That's probably a good call
Yeah.
on your behalf. Although, if there's something that's going to get me up,
You and I can head over there this week. How about
yes,
that?
I would
Yeah.
gladly
We're
do
overdue
that.
for lunch. We need to catch up.
Yeah, okay. You
need
want
to
to know
catch up
how
a little
good it
bit.
is? It is so good that it is actually something that can unite Derek and I for a lunch date.
It's just kind of a shame because, we talk about, like, Carson Wentz's ankles and, like, how's your day? How was your week? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that on the air right now because this is the show, but, like, I'm just kind of interested in – you're my best friend. I'm your best friend. What's going on, man?
I'm going out of town this week. Don't miss me.
Okay.
By the way,
We'll
we
talk
also
about
need to
that.
get to our WGU Sage Move of the Week. WGU is, of course, the largest online accredited university in the state of Indiana. Whether you are going back to school or just starting out a degree, what an awesome thing to have here in the state with WGU, working online with the schedule that permits for you because ambition never rests. WGU.edu/Indiana, the website for WGU. And our friend Sage. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. I don't know if he's our friend, but WGU Indiana is our friend.
Sage is awesome.
College football, so a little more Colts talk when we return as well. Just getting started here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're watching on ISC, maybe you're watching on Comcast Channel 81, perhaps you're listening to the podcast right now so you can't see us at all.
Oh, they can't be mesmerized by my eyes.
Maybe you're watching on YouTube, the Query and Schultz page. Lots of ways to watch us every single week, Monday at 7:30. Thanks to our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, one of the sponsors of this program.
Listen. What?
Ooh, that was a bad snap, yeah.
Hold on. I'm better as a righty.
See, I got it the first time. Okay,
Takes a
that's
second.
a little
Okay.
better, yeah.
Am I right, though?
I mean, you're older, though. Arthritis and stuff like that. That's
it.
a real threat for somebody of Jake's age.
That's it. It was the Ben Gay. I couldn't get it to go.
BAWFG.com.
Mortgage and a snap.
That's right. 855-350-home. It took me a couple of weeks to get the phone number right, and then I had a long winning streak there with the phone number, and I fumbled it a little bit with the phone number there, so I'm sorry about that.
It's the 21st century, so if you'd like, folks, you could find them simply online. BAWFG.com. That's BAWFG.com.
People like to call still. 13 Indiana locations. So if you're looking to refi, rates still low, pre-approval for buying a new home,
That was good.
go ahead and do that at Bailey & Wood. Mike and his entire sales team were down in Miami. They got a suite for the Colts game. And Mike wasn't happy, I'm sure, with the result, but I bet everybody else was because I saw a lot of Colts jerseys. Yeah. And I feel bad because I made a comment about the Dolphins kind of being the Avon, Indiana of NFL franchises where it's fine, right? But, like, there's nothing interesting. The 21st century Dolphins, to me, are just so bland.
What do you
Like,
have against Avon?
even yesterday.
What's wrong with Avon?
It's strip malls and chain restaurants and
Derek.
Vinyl Village, USA.
Derek, let me show
You know, and that's fine. I'm sure it's a great community. I know people that live in Avon, raising kids in Avon. I'm not trying to trash Avon. I'm just saying it's completely unremarkable.
Listen, I'm going to take the Smoke and Barrel Barbecue as a prop here, this lovely piece of wood. This is our listening audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Derek now has decided, imagine that what I have here is a saw, to just go, and now take out that part of our listening audience.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
I mean, that's brilliant marketing.
You make fun of Midtown,
that's-
and we have a lot of Midtown listeners.
I don't make fun of
and
Midtown.
viewers.
I've never
don't
heard
be
anybody
throwing
who's
stones from
born and
glass
raised
house.
long time in Indianapolis that calls it Midtown. Furthermore, it's erroneous. It's because Midtown means middle of what?
The middle of Indianapolis.
It's not the middle of Indianapolis, though.
It is compared to downtown and the north side. It's right in the middle.
There is an entire south side of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I guess.
Midtown is downtown. That's the middle part of Indianapolis.
It's the middle part of when the roads go from, 10th Street up. Yeah. That's what makes sense about it. Yep.
Okay. Well, regardless of whether you want to live in Midtown, Northside, Avon, wherever it might be, Bailey & Wood is the place for your mortgage
And hopefully
needs.
Mike doesn't cancel the sponsorship because I said the Dolphins were. Get this, in the 21st century, they are. Let me make sure I have the stat right. They're 159 and 177, which averages out to 7.5 wins and 8.5 losses per year.
I mean,
they just. It seems like, I know they went 10-6 last year, but it just feels like the Dolphins are always 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. Like, they're never truly bad, right?
the Dolphins
They're just never good.
The Dolphins
or
are entering
great.
into the area, or the Dolphins, have been in the area that the Colts are hoping to not enter into, and that is that quarterback purgatory
Yeah.
where it's just, You're drafting 15th every year, and you just can't get your footing out.
There are a lot of – and the Pacers have gone deeper in the playoffs. There are a lot of, like, Pacers-esque vibes, I feel like.
I thought about this
Dolphins.
before we get to college football. I did think about this. There are 2 unbeatens in the NFL.
Isn't this wild?
2.
Well, one of them plays right after this show.
Correct. So talking about the Raiders.
Yeah, and Cardinals.
The other one, Cardinals. Kyler Murray was the number 1 pick, right?
Yep.
And how long has he been in the league?
4 years?
How quickly has it come together for for the Cardinals after taking him number 1 overall? And, just in a hurry, man.
Yeah.
So often the number 1 pick in the draft is a quarterback that is going into a franchise that is a dumpster fire, which is why they have the number 1 pick. And the quarterback themselves just can never get it going. Trevor Lawrence, I think the world of Trevor Lawrence is a player, but is he going to be wasted in Jacksonville? Which apparently Urban Meyer might have been. Mac Jones, I watched for New England, and I'm thinking he's in a really good situation. He had a line. Mm-hmm. He has a system that he's just going in and
he's
picking
being
up.
Coached well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is better, to be the number 1 overall pick and go to a place like Jacksonville, or to sit in the green room and be humiliated for one night and fall to 17th or 15th or whatever, and then go to a place where you can play right away and play well?
Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that. There are some guys like Aaron Rodgers would have been great wherever he went.
You're right.
Likely. He's just that good.
He's that special. Aaron Rodgers has my favorite draft night quote in an interview besides Eldon Campbell. Eldon Campbell is my favorite in basketball.
I don't know that one.
He was being interviewed on TNT when he was drafted by, I believe, the Lakers in the 90 draft, and they said,
did he go to Clemson?
And you earned your degree at Clemson. And he goes, well, I didn't earn it, but they gave it to me anyway. That's number 1. That's a gold standard. Number 2 was Aaron Rodgers. Do you know the quote?
No.
When they said, how mad are you, or how disappointed are you? How disappointed are you that the San Francisco 49ers did not select you?
Bay Area guy, yeah.
And he said, not near as disappointed as the San Francisco 49ers are going to be.
And he was right.
It's a solid
the Niners were pretty bad. They had a couple of good teams.
Solid quote.
During his career.
But speaking of all those guys, talking about Oklahoma and Cal and Clemson and Trevor Lawrence's case, and Alabama with Mac Jones, let's talk about college football. Notre Dame now has fallen to 14th after their loss to Cincinnati, a game that I thought Notre Dame was going to win, but they really kind of were never in it.
Yeah, they dug themselves a 10-point hole. They were down 17-0 at half, and they fought back to at least make it interesting. But, Jake, they can't run. They can't run, they can't block, and they can't protect. And it's really hard to win against a team like Cincinnati when you can't – Cincinnati's defensive front is very, very good. And it's hard to win like that. I never thought that this was – I've remained consistent on this, right? I overreacted a bit in picking Purdue to beat them a couple of weeks ago. But I've remained consistent in thinking that Notre Dame was not a playoff team, and I think they showed you why they're not a playoff team. Right. They have flaws that are hard to fix. I think, they've got a tough game in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech, which is a pick-em in Vegas. I think if Notre Dame could find a way to go 9-3 or 10-2 this year, that's a great year. I think it's just one of those, things ebb and flow, and Derek, this is an ebb for them.
It's a weird year in college football, and the fact that right now the top 5 in college football, you got Alabama and Georgia, who I think are just in a world above everybody else.
So does everybody, yeah.
And then right below that, Iowa 3rd.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Penn State 4. Penn State looked pretty good against Indiana.
Based on resume, you have to put those teams there, though.
Right? But you do. You're right.
Who am I going to put in front of them? Oklahoma's beating everybody by 2 points.
They're winning, though, at least, right?
So's Iowa, Cincinnati, and Penn State.
Correct. Iowa does this every year, though, don't they? They get like 9-0, and you get excited, and then they go and they lose to Michigan State.
I'd say every 7 or 8 years, Iowa has found this trend where they go like 6 or 7 wins, and then they'll sneak in an 8-win or whatever season, and then every 7 or 8 years they have a season like this where they're like in the top 10.
Now, the team that the table is setting up perfectly for them
is Cincinnati.
Aside from Cincinnati.
Ohio State?
Yes. Ohio State has one loss. Yeah. It's to Oregon, who lost to Stanford. Oregon dropped back now, is ranked 8th.
What a crippling loss.
Ohio State is ranked 7th. Uh-huh. It was if you're a Buckeye fan, that was the greatest weekend in a long time you've had, because everybody, I realize Penn State didn't lose, but you have a chance.
You control your own destiny.
Control your own
against Penn
destiny.
State, though, yeah.
Ohio State controls their own destiny because they're going to go if Ohio State wins out now, they're in. Right? They're in.
Well, what if Cincinnati and Oklahoma both went out?
Then you think it'd be Alabama, Georgia,
Cincinnati, Oklahoma, I think would be your 4. I don't think Ohio State can leapfrog an undefeated. I certainly don't think they could.
Cincinnati's ranked 5th,
an undefeated Oklahoma team.
Cincinnati, though, Derek. Here's the thing: the way that it all works. Cincinnati, this is the peak. This is the highest they're going to get. They don't have. I'd have to look at Cincinnati's schedule.
No, they don't have anyone left.
Once the playoff rankings come out, they have nobody to get them another rung up. And Ohio State, right now, is ranked 7th. I know the playoff rankings haven't come out yet. But if Ohio State has on their resume that they beat Iowa, that they beat Penn State.
Well, did they play Iowa?
Well, they'd play them in the Big Ten Championship, wouldn't they?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
If they are the Big Ten champion, okay. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Cincinnati is in and they're 4 or 3. Hell, maybe they're 2 if they're undefeated. But if Ohio State, when the first playoff rankings come out, Ohio State's going to have one loss. It's going to be to Oregon in week 2. Okay? It's good news for Ohio State that Oregon lost because an undefeated they wouldn't be able to vault over Oregon. They need maybe Oregon to lose one more time to get them out of the way, but Oregon's season can't collapse because it looks bad for Ohio State.
Yeah.
But it was very early. If Ohio State wins, each win that they get that is impressive gives them a little bit more of a push, right, to grab the next rung.
Yeah.
Theoretically, the last win that they would be getting would be over an undefeated Iowa. That's going to be huge push for them.
I understand, and in the past, that has always happened, right? We saw it with TCU umpteen years ago where the team that has the late push from a better league ends up getting in. But I don't think Ohio State is going to go 12-1. I don't think Oklahoma's going to go 13-0. I think in this type of year, everything is set up for Cincinnati because I think everyone else kind of stinks. It doesn't stink, but is less than what they usually are.
I will say this. That was a huge win for Cincinnati because Cincinnati not being a Power 5, there are people, if they'd run the table, that would have said, yeah, but they're not a Power 5. But by going into one of the richest programs in college football, who was ranked in the top 10 at the time, and beating them, that gives them the win that they've not had in the past.
Yeah, and look, Indiana might be terrible. I don't know. But you had the cojones to go into their place in a really tough environment and against a preseason top 20 team and win that game too. So I just think if Cincinnati runs the table, to me, this is the type of year that would be perfect to push them in because I don't think you're going to have 4 Power 5 dominant teams. I think you have 2. I think you have Alabama and Georgia. I think everybody else is Cincinnati is just as good as everybody else. I really feel like in the next tier of college football.
Do you know, by the way, the origin of Bearcats?
No. It's not a real thing, right? There's no such thing as – oh, really?
There's an Asian animal that is called a bearcat. It's got I forget the actual scientific name is different than bearcat, but bearcats are an animal that are native to like Southeast Asia.
Okay.
But Cincinnati is called the Bearcats because in like 1921 or whatever, they were playing, I believe it was Kentucky, who was very, very good, and Kentucky
and looks very good this year.
How about that win? Good, yeah. Cincinnati had a star player whose last name was Bear. I think it was Baehr. But the cheerleaders for Cincinnati started saying, like, you have your Wildcats, we have our Bearcats. And that was the origin of Bearcats.
Wow. You learn something new every day. That's actually kind of interesting. Usually your stories aren't interesting at all. Let's talk about Indiana and Purdue as well.
Let's talk about Indy because they put up 77 points over
Ball
Southwest
State.
Baptist.
How about Ball State beating Army? Nice bounce-back win of what's been kind of a disappointing season first couple of weeks. Indiana was never going to win that game in Happy Valley. You would have liked to see them be more competitive. They weren't competitive.
For Indiana, Derek, the season now shifts away from Michael Penix, who, bless his heart, but Michael Penix has been banged up. He has not been the same quarterback
I
since
wonder
coming back
if he'll ever take a snap as a starter again for Indiana.
That is an entirely possible reality that he does not. You're correct.
But he has ranged, Jake, from incompetent to scared. And there's been no in between. That's how Michael Penix has played against teams with a pulse this year.
Yeah, you're right. And I like Jack Tuttle. I think he's a good, efficient quarterback. It's just a different system.
Yeah.
I thought that Tom Allen should have gone to Tuttle earlier.
Yeah, me too. I think I said on the show, didn't I say he should have gone to Tuttle for Western Kentucky, because the problem with the Western Kentucky game was that it fooled you into believing that things were fixed for Penix. And it's like, well, no, it's Western Kentucky.
Right.
I could throw for 377 against Western Kentucky.
I don't think that.
277. 277 and a tud.
No.
277, a tud, and a pick. So I have one errant throw.
Okay.
It glanced off the receiver's hands. He should have caught it.
What if you had to escape the pocket?
Can and I have. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one thing I'm not worried about at all. Athleticism, there's no question. Strength, breaking tackles, all of that.
What are you, Doug Flutie?
That comparison was made in Trumbull Youth Football.
How do you see over the line?
So that's what you're going to go with, because that's your last resort. It's a short joke.
No, it's a legitimate concern.
Okay. That's when I know you've lost the argument, is that when you have to resort to a short joke.
I don't think it's I mean, that's a legitimate
so we can move on. We can move on to the next thing.
I mean, like if we were talking about you playing center in the NBA, I would say, how are you going to
My
win the tip?
vision on the basketball court and in other areas athletically is unmatched. I have this incredible peripheral field of vision where I
lazy
can kind
eye.
of see. Well, that actually was part of it. So as a kid, like when I was playing 7th grade basketball, if Adam Nankervis was standing over here, I'd be able to no look past, because basically my retina would be over in that direction. And I kind of honed into that. And you always, I feel like you really embellish how poor of an athlete I am, or my many gifts and talents.
You wrestled in high school and you were like 2-35.
I did. I struggled a bit on the varsity level. Junior varsity, I was pretty good.
The girl, was that junior varsity or varsity?
That was an inter-squad scrimmage, and it was my first match.
Okay.
And I actually had her pinned, but I ended up pinning myself, so it was incompetence. It wasn't.
You pinned
it wasn't an athletic
yourself.
thing. Yes.
Okay.
I covered my own back.
That seems to be fairly symbolic for most of your high school career, does it not?
And now a sexual joke?
No, I'm just saying.
That's what we're going to go with?
Purdue really is one, Derek, that I'm not saying Minnesota's terrible, but you got to get that one.
They have a game like that every year, Jake. Like, did you look at the box score of that game? Purdue had like 29 first downs. They dominated that game. I mean, there is no reason. If you were to hand me a sheet of paper with everything on it and you said, Schultz, what was the final score of this game? I would have assumed that Purdue won that game 31-14.
Right.
And instead they lost 20-13.
Purdue and Minnesota is the most.
Understand it.
It's the most unintentional great rivalry there is.
But Minnesota always wins.
I know, but their games are always wacky. Purdue and Minnesota.
It just really annoys me. I feel like there's been like a game a year like this with Purdue where they have no business losing and they still find a way to lose, and it's so frustrating. Look, their bowl eligibility is still – I'm not shut off to them potentially making a bowl, but it's so much easier to get there at 4-1 than 3-2 with what they've got coming up.
We have, speaking of coming up, the Indiana Members Credit Union Player of the Week, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll do that. A couple more features as well.
All right. We'll do that next?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sounds good. You're watching Query and Schultz or listening to it here on ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Meet Kate. She has a lot to juggle. Family, work, it can lead to trying days and tired nights. But we know Kate, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know at some point her space at a premium life may change. IMCU is here to help Kate and you find your space. Now, add on or remodel with an introductory rate of 1.9% APR on a home equity line of credit. Today, it's all about Kate. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz rolling right along on this Monday. I guess it's afternoon now as we're taping this.
This is a new Chateau Kitchens hat.
It is. Yeah, I got that hot off the press from Steven last week. I went to their showroom on Carmel Drive because they had the renderings for our new guest bathroom, which we're moving forward
Are you putting
with.
in 2 shower heads on that?
No.
Okay.
No, just the guest bathroom. It's a much smaller space. We split the original master bathroom, and this is the small portion of that split
Okay.
upstairs. Yeah.
Wait, so you've got the guest bathroom is right next to the master bathroom?
Well, there's a wall, obviously, that's in there. So there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, and we blew out the closet in our bedroom to make that master bathroom suite with the shower with 2 heads and the walk-in closet. And then there's another bathroom upstairs that works. It's got a toilet that flushes and a sink, but everything else is just a
a
disaster.
toilet that flushes.
Well, I had a friend that had a truck, and he was like, I can do this. And, we didn't know what we were doing. We were first-time home buyers. We're like, yeah, here you go. Here's money. And, yeah,
what's the truck have to do with it?
it was bad. Well, you know how they kind of say you have to get a legitimate business like Chateau Kitchens instead of like some dude on a truck? And that's we learned that lesson the hard way.
The other day I was at the gas station, and there was 2 men in a truck.
Yeah. See, but that's a legitimate business.
3 guys in it.
False advertising.
That's kind of
Have
what
to
I
bring
thought.
it up to them.
That, or I thought, now, here's the thing. If it's 2 men in a truck and 3 guys show up, does that mean that you got a guy 50% free or 33% additionally free?
All right, I'm going to
It's an
just
additional 50% free, right?
ChateauKitchens.com
Because 1 is 50% of 2.
is their
So
website.
You're paying for 2, you get 3. You're getting 50%
At
more
Chateau Kitchens
free.
on Instagram and Facebook to see some of the before and after photos. Maybe my bathroom will end up on there, so you can see, I don't know, where I've pooped,
Okay.
I guess.
That's good. Okay. Well, what time are we doing this next week? Because I'm gone. Thank you. What are we doing here?
Jake, people trust us to be genuine and authentic and honest.
Okay,
And that's what I want to do on the show.
Okay. Right.
So-
Well, why don't you ask your friends at Chateau Kitchens what they think?
Chateau,
Chateau Kitchens.
Megan's
what they
renderings.
think of you being that honest.
Well, okay, let's get serious. All right, calm down. Because you've let this get off the tracks here a little bit. Megan's renderings were awesome. Her design plan was fantastic, and I can't wait to see that project kind of come to
I
fruition.
think the
with
biggest
Chateau
things
Kitchens.
about Chateau Kitchens is the fact that you've got to trust, Eric. When you're having people do work in your house, you want people you can trust.
Yeah,
inside your
100%.
home.
100%.
And you got that.
It's just such a tough thing. I mean, I don't know what it is about general contractors and stuff like that. Like the trust level, it's really difficult to trust people. And even people that have great reviews and oh, they came from Angie's List or whatever else. Like, you hear nightmare stories. And we went through some nightmare stories, but we had just a wonderful experience with the kitchen with Chateau Kitchens, and we're going to have another wonderful one with the guest bathroom.
Getting back to the Colts game and their first win of the season, 27-17 in Miami, I think you and I might kind of disagree in terms of our player of the week.
I thought of this because I had somebody in my mind that I wanted to pick, and then I was like, oh, wait, Jake's going to go against this because one of his favorites had a really big game too. I just think, here's what I'll say. Let's split it, because I think you can very easily say Mo Alley Cox was the player of the week for the Colts. Couple of tud grabs, go up and get it, athleticism. The Colts need some playmaking. They got some playmaking. I thought Jonathan Taylor set the tone for the rest of the afternoon.
See, Taylor was who I was going to go with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's who I picked in the notes.
But we could do – I don't read your notes.
I emailed them to you.
Kind of like if you do Indiana Members Credit Union, you could have a checking account, you could have a savings account. You can get 2 different ones, right?
Yeah.
Here. So we can do 2 different here, right?
So you're not picking Mo Alley Cox?
I was going to go with Jonathan Taylor, but
And
if
you thought I
did-
was going to go with Mo Alley Cox.
Correct.
Read my show notes
I don't get your
before
show
I send
notes.
them to you. What is it, jakequery@AOL.com or something? It's some
No.
prehistoric email address.
Well, I got news for you. Guess what? That apparently that dinosaur left the building.
okay.
I didn't get your email.
No, I'm fine with either of those guys. So if you want it
Hold
to
on,
be
you
Mo
might
Alley
be-
Cox, great. If you want it to be Jonathan Taylor, great.
You may be in my spam.
I think you could do either of those guys. Both of them had a big game. Colts just
see.
needed some
Hang on, I'm
life
part of a class action lawsuit.
on offense, and they got some.
Oh, there's your
Because if
you're
you
in
really look at the first 3 games,
you're in my spam.
it was 16 points, 17 points, 16 points, right? I think was the first 3 weeks, and it's really hard to win in the NFL like that when you're putting point totals out there in the teens. So to get 27 and to sustain a couple of drives and have those guys be featured in those drives, that's a big deal for them moving forward.
I was surprised, Derek, that they didn't use Jonathan Taylor as much in the Tennessee game. I mean, what do you have?
I think it was more of a Tennessee was committed to taking that away. And so the Colts had to improvise and
were you surprised
do
that
something alternate?
And it wasn't I mean, they got good production, but were you surprised that they went with and utilized Marlon Mack in Miami?
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit surprised to see him
part of that
out there.
is
You've
part of
got
that
him, so you might as well use him.
It's that, and then as part of it, gamesmanship as well, where even though it was very amicable between both parties, the fact that he's, on the trade block, are the Colts wanting people to see that he has some game in him?
Well, and I think Marlon Mack wants people to see that too.
Right.
So I think, again, this is, a mutually beneficial sort of thing. But I don't think, Jake, they would just give him carries to give him carries. I think Marlon Mack is a former 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, he's a talented player. So I think they wanted to find a way to implement him into that game plan.
Tell me more about Indiana Members Credit Union, by the way.
We can go to imcu.com. And we always talk about this on the show, but it's important for us to be very Indy and Indiana-centric, and it even says Indiana in the name, right? Indiana Members Credit Union. So forget the national banks. They don't care about you. They're not living here in this community. They're in New York or L.A. or, I don't know, Charlotte, where the banking hub, wherever they are. These people are part of our community and right in our backyard at IMCU.
IMCU.com, right?
IMCU.com for Indiana Members Credit Union.
So Jonathan Taylor, we'll just say, who's the kid that was on Home Improvement?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
So this is
JTT.
So Jonathan Taylor, Allie Cox, right?
You're merging them into one person?
Yeah, one winner. It all comes together because when it comes for Home Improvement, why not give a call to Chateau Kitchens?
Was that the show with Urkel?
No, that was Family Matters.
I'm trying to think. Home Improvement. And the dad's a cop.
I don't remember that show. No, Home Improvement is
then Urkel knocks on the door and he goes crazy?
Home Improvement is the one where they talk to the guy over the fence all the time and you never see him. You just see his eyes. It looks like it was filmed in somebody's basement and Pamela Anderson was on it. You should remember the Pamela Anderson part. She shut down your computer.
And Jonathan Taylor Thomas's girlfriend was Topanga.
I don't know about that either. I didn't watch the show. I'm just familiar with the premise of it.
Okay. I think you're mixing up some of the shows.
I can assure you.
I think you're mixing some of those up. Because
I'm
trying to think Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and I'm thinking like Topanga. Mr. Feeney was the person that they talked to over the fence. He was their next door neighbor.
No, the neighbor, I think,
he was also a teacher in the school. I think that's right.
I don't know what show
We'll
you're
check
talking
that
about.
during the break.
Okay.
How about that? Make sure that we have this right, because I think Jake confuses this stuff a lot. So we'll see. Oh, God, don't do the backwards hat. It's so sad.
It is.
I just get depressed.
Matthew says it looks
immediately. Quick hits when we come back, including a marriage-altering, perhaps for me, week in the Schultz household.
Oh, yeah.
Which is my mother-in-law is already sending me texts, which is going to be difficult, and some more features to get to as we continue on Query and Schultz.
Quick hits.
Don't touch me.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
We're back on Query and Schultz. Thanks so much for joining us. I don't like Sage and that
Sage is
one
awesome.
eye right behind me, but it's time, whenever you
Sage
see
right
Sage,
here, right?
you know that it's time for our Sage Move of the Week presented by our friends at WGU Indiana, wgu.edu/Indiana for online degrees in many different programs.
Indiana's largest online accredited university, WGU, because ambition never rests. So whether you are going back to school, starting a degree for the first time, or perhaps just a couple of classes you're interested in to explore different things, you can do it on your schedule at wgu.edu/Indiana.
I actually chose Cincinnati football, challenging themselves, I think was a nice move. This Notre Dame game, if I'm not mistaken, I think was a one-off. It was not a home and home. So they chose to go to Notre Dame.
Paid off.
It is a home and home with Indiana, so they get the return game next year. But still, you chose to play a true road game at a Power 5 school, and they did it twice in the first, 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and now they've set themselves up nicely. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not a good league. Cincinnati does not play a great league schedule, but they've done, I think, everything that they could possibly do to control their own destiny at this point.
Yeah, you got to give them credit for that's a great call, Derek, because to go into Notre Dame, look, it paid off for them. I mean, here they are. They're ranked 5th in the country, and they have, a couple of years ago, Cincinnati was in that discussion about the playoffs, but they kind of got, hey, we'll give them a bone and put them in the discussion, but they were never really seriously taken because of their schedule. So now they have, 2 Power 5. I know this year Notre Dame technically isn't independent or their ACC affiliate or whatever it might be, but you've got a Power 5 win against Indiana that I think they're hoping Indiana upholds their end of the bargain by getting some good wins elsewhere to strengthen that. But going to Notre Dame and getting a win now gives them something to hang their hat on. So good for them in that regard.
Yeah, and I know that we have a show listener in Chris who's really into Cincinnati, so wanted to give them some love on the
buddy
show.
Doug Heath as well. He's a Cincinnati guy. Time for some quick hits.
Yeah, let's do some quick hits. You'll like this one, Jake, to lead us off. Clemson is out of the AP Top 25 for the first time since 2014.
Here's my only thing with this. They're not very good. So I don't have a problem with them not being ranked.
How close was that? I know it was close score-wise, but how close was that BC
Close.
game? Okay.
Boston College had the ball. Matter of fact, my buddy Tony in South Carolina, it was 19-13. Clemson was up, and Boston College got the ball back, and he texted me and said, we're going to lose 20-19, aren't we? And I said, it could. And Boston College went down and got in the red zone and then had an errant snap on a shotgun.
Ooh.
Clemson recovered it.
So they were knocking on the
Throwing
door.
the clock out, yeah.
Is DJ just not as good as advertised, or what is the deal? Why
think-
can't they score?
I
Their defense is fine, right?
Their line is not very good. Their defense is pretty good. Their line is not very good, and they can't run the ball.
Weird.
And then DJ Ungiele, I believe is how you say it.
I'm not even going to try.
He was the number 1 player in the country as a senior in high school. As a freshman, he set the all-time, Derek, single-game passing yardage record at Notre Dame
Yeah.
last year.
He was incredible in that game.
He just looks totally off.
Weird.
But
strange.
what I was going to say is they were ranked, I think, 23rd. Boston College was 4-0. So you beat a 4-0 team while you're ranked 23rd. How do you drop from that?
You end up being a harsh grader, I think, when you have the track record that Clemson has.
I think that's correct.
And they're scoring in the teens against a lightly – you're right, BC is 4-0, but the ACC is very lightly thought
It is.
of as a league right now. Congrats. And I'm not sure – I didn't ask you. I was assuming that you went to Robin Miller's Celebration of Life.
I did.
Received the posthumous Sagamore of the Wabash Award, which is incredible. It's the highest civilian honor for anybody in Indiana.
They're just, Derek, I said it before, there just is nobody like him. and I don't know that there will be anybody like him. He just was. The thing about Robin Miller, and I think this is the ultimate gift that anybody can have within them, characteristic. Everybody in that room, and there were hundreds, felt that it was impossible to think that anybody else could have been like as close to Robin or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like he every single person, whenever you were with Robin, he made you feel like you were this really important person.
Yeah.
You met, I mean, you were around him a lot.
Yeah.
You know, he was a fan of yours for sure. He just was unlike anybody else, man. He was the best. And his Steve Shunk, who is Robin's best friend, and Shunk's had a rough year because I know people don't know Steve Shunk. He's worked in PR and racing for years. Steve's two probably closest friends on the planet were Bobby Unser and Robin Miller. And so it's been a rough stretch.
Yeah.
And, man, when Robin got really sick and went into the hospital and then into his passing and into this, Shunk did. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like the absolute Facebook definition of loyalty, which is what Robin was, but Shunk has been that as well. But it was a well-done ceremony.
I love the line, apparently, from Tony Kanaan where he said, if Robin was here right now, guys, he'd be looking around the room being like, guys, what are you doing? This is bull bleep. Right? You know,
Yes, totally.
What are we doing here?
Totally.
But I'm glad. I'm glad that he deserves that award, obviously, and had another celebration, maybe a final celebration there. Final one for quick hits. After much consternation, Andrew Wiggins has received the COVID-19 vaccine, according to head coach Steve Kerr. That means he can play in the Warriors' home games this season. Still waiting to see what happens with Kyrie. I saw the Draymond Green comments over the weekend, and Draymond is a smart guy. I was a little miffed by his comments.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really get it. Well, it's being politicized. Yeah, who's politicizing it?
Derek, I've always said that the whole thing about this vaccine conversation to me that's fascinating is it has exposed hypocrisy in myself as much as anybody else. You know, I looked at when there were controversies about bakeries and cakes and who they can and can't make cakes for, and you know, I'm saying to myself, hey, you can't do that. But now with vaccines, companies come out and say every employee has to be vaccinated, and people are like, they can't say that. And I'm like, sure they can. They own the business. They can say whatever they want. Well, based on that, then shouldn't I say the same about the cakes?
I think the difference is that there's discrimination and then there's just a company policy. That's not based on race or gender or sexuality.
Understood. But what I'm saying is, Derek, unfortunately, one person's policy is another person's discrimination.
I hear you.
You know, for example, with the Andrew Wiggins thing, the players that have stood up and said, I don't want to be vaccinated, Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie Irving, Draymond Green coming out saying he's skeptical of it, the people that are applauding that are the same people that said, shut up and dribble.
Yeah, no, you're right. So there's hypocrisy. I mean,
but I'm guilty of it too.
There's hypocrisy on every side.
Right.
Everyone is a hypocrite when it
I'm
comes
guilty
to
of it too.
Basically everything.
Can I campaign to try to get a Sagamore or the Wabash? Would they give me one?
Put you in the North Central Hall of Fame after you whined and moaned about that for
I know.
About 10
That's
years.
my next cause.
Love that play. How about
I
that?
want the Sagamore or the Wabash.
Brought to you by, speaking of North Central, a couple of North Central grads,
Great
Chris
guys.
and John
The
Love.
best.
Who went all through school with Jake Query, 353-2141, love-hvac.com for Love Heating and Cooling. How about Randy Bullock's field goal miss? Because that loss for the Titans was a gift from the football gods.
You're right.
For the Colts. Because that Jets team looked totally helpless.
I'm on the phone with my buddy Chris Jordan, who also grew up with the Loves. And as a matter of fact, to bring it all full circle, as we're watching it, they showed Zach Wilson on the sidelines, rookie quarterback of the Jets, and Chris Jordan says, look at this guy. He looks like Chris Love in 8th grade.
Yeah, he looks like he's 14 years old,
and
that kid.
He went down, and then they got stuffed. The Jets tried to run a Zach Wilson bootleg, and he got stuffed on 3rd and goal. So they settle for a field goal in overtime. So the Titans come back. They've got Derrick Henry, so that, 8 yards every pitch sweep you do to Derrick Henry. They get down in field goal range. They had a penalty. They get moved back. What was it, a 57-yarder, you said?
54-yarder, I think it was.
And I'm on the phone with Jordan, and he's going, he's going to miss this. There's no way he's going to hit it. He's going to miss this. And my TV was like 8 seconds ahead. And I just started laughing. I can't believe he missed it.
Yeah.
But that's a huge break because it keeps the Colts at least within sniffing distance of the South.
Yeah, and if you look around the NFL, there's only 2 unbeatens. So if you're 1-3, you're basically
You're right.
only 2 games back of everybody else in the league right
You're
now.
right.
So it's a good, considering how the first 3 weeks went for the Colts, this is a decent place to be for them.
Love Heating and Air Conditioning, by the way, has been around since 1920. That's over 100 years if you do the math. Love-HVAC.com. Great customer service, commitment to product, knowledge of product, 24-hour maintenance. That's what you get from Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com, 317-353-2141. As a matter of fact, I had mentioned the fact that it's a little bit cool in this room. That means ice-cold milk, Derek. I'm ready for it next. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. I can't wait for it.
That's
We'll
right.
come back and wrap up the show when we return. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Meet Kate. She has a lot to juggle. Family, work, it can lead to trying days and tired nights. But we know Kate, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know at some point her space at a premium life may change. IMCU is here to help Kate and you find your space. Now, add on or remodel with an introductory rate of 1.9% APR on a home equity line of credit. Today, it's all about Kate. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Welcome back to the program. Corey and Schultz for a final time here in this installment. We didn't even say what number show this is, Derek. What are we at?
Oh, no, I forgot. 55.
To Kim Matumbo?
Yeah, that's who I picked. But Junior Seau, Oral Hershiser.
Hershiser was one that he was so good when I was a kid. I mean, he had the scoreless inning streak.
Well, that one season, that 188 season
unbelievable.
was incredible. But a guy that fell short of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, he was an elite player for too short an amount of time, and then now he's in the Hall of Very Good. Right?
Yep.
But did you bring the milk facts?
Oh, actually, I forgot those. I remembered the milk.
Well, good
So
for
I
you.
did remember that.
Are the milk facts in the little sheet here that we have?
I don't know actually what I did. I think they're in a folder somewhere.
I've got the
Somewhere in
folder
here?
right here.
Are they back over there? I think they might be back there.
Here's.
Do you have the milk facts?
Let's see what you got here.
Let me see. No, this is from our talk with Jill and Tim, the milk presenters for the Indianapolis 500. Hi, Jill and Tim, if you're watching.
Derek,
You got the milk facts right there?
would you like me to read them?
Yeah, fire away.
Chocolate milk, which I have right here. By the way, we love the American Dairy Association of Indiana because dairy farmers working all year round to make sure that there is milk available for all of us, whether it be breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it might be. Chocolate milk right here. More carbohydrates than regular milk. 1 8-ounce serving of low-fat chocolate milk has as much calcium as, Derek, how many cups of raw spinach?
2.
10. Has as much calcium as 10 cups of raw spinach, as much potassium as a banana, and as much vitamin A as 2 boiled eggs. The perfect post-workout recovery drink, chocolate milk. That's right. You can refuel with chocolate milk, and then, of course, with your milk that you have right there, low-fat. Is that low-fat or 2%? What are you going with?
2%.
Yeah, vitamin D, vitamin A, rich
Yep.
in both. The American Dairy Association of Indiana brings us each and every week our winner of
is cold.
the week. Derek,
That is good. Yeah.
You decide to go with who?
You know, I'm going to pick him. This is a strange one because his team's not in the playoffs. But Shohei Ohtani wrapped up, I think, I don't want to get into a rant on this. Baseball's just so bad at marketing its stars. Like, this dude hit 46 homers, drove in 100, and had like an 8-3 record and a 3-something ERA. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane that somebody pitched and hit in 2021, not 1881.
He also
at
swiped,
that sort of level.
He also swiped like 25 bases.
It's just
he?
incredible. I mean, he is going to be, I would think, the unanimous MVP. Just a special season for Ohtani, and it sucks that none of these guys, Tatis, any of these guys are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Vladimir
great.
Guerrero.
We've got the Cardinals and the Yankees and the Red Sox. Okay, great. I want to see some star players though. And,
World Series is going to be who?
Oh God, I don't know. I still think that the Astros are going to be a really tough out. The AL is more interesting to me than the NL. I still think it's going to be much tougher now that they have to be in the coin flip game. I still think the Dodgers are the team to beat in the NL. The Giants, to me, won 106 games, and I'm still not quite sure how the Giants won 106 games.
They can hit, man.
That's a lot.
I think it's going to be the Giants and the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox come from a crap division, and they've been over the last second half. But the beauty of the baseball playoffs is none of it matters. It's
right.
There's
Look at the Cardinals.
Baseball, yeah, it can be very random.
Hot.
It can be very random.
And
the Cardinals can get bounced in the coin flip game.
Watch the Cardinals go to the World Series.
No, don't even say it. Don't even speak it into existence.
Watch it be the Cardinals.
Watch it be the Red Sox again.
Red Sox
God.
and the Cardinals.
Ugh.
So now you were saying
Just
that
jump into the White
how are you
River.
going to handle that at home?
Oh yeah, it's going to be rough. Thankfully, Ashley's working on Tuesday night, so we won't be in the house. But generally, if the Yankees and Red Sox,
What do you mean you won't be in the house? What, you leave the house when she goes to work?
No, she won't be in the house.
Okay.
Generally, like in 2018 when they played each other, we watched the games in separate rooms. The problem is that even if I have the volume way up, I can hear my wife cheering. And we talked about this on the radio show. I don't know if we ever mentioned this on the TV show, but it drives me absolutely crazy.
Is it like when you chew things?
No, that's for you. Anytime a Red Sox player does something, she says the name of that player and then claps really fast. So, like, when it was Ortiz, it'd be like, he'd lace a double off the monster or something, and she'd go, Poppy! And I'd hear it from the other room, and I'd be like, ugh. And she has nicknames for everybody.
Okay.
Like Devers.
But you're not like a big Yankee fan anymore, are you?
The Yankees are kind of one of those teams that I have still clung to, A, because they still win, unlike the Giants and Knicks, and B, because I've always gotten away with liking the Yankees because there's no counterpart here. The Knicks have the Pacers, the Giants have the Colts. The Yankees never play anybody in Indianapolis because there is no Indianapolis MLB
How did you become
team.
a Yankees and not a Mets fan?
I don't really know. My uncle and cousins who were already there were established Yankee fans, and I think originally my dad, we were just tagging along with them to go to games, and that's how it all happened. My dad worked for the parent company of MSG Network, so that's how I ended up a rabid Knicks fan, was because we get tickets all the time.
Right.
But, yeah, the Yankees thing I think just kind of came.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Yankees.
Thank God. I thank the Lord every day. I know we don't talk about religion and things like that on the show, but I kneel down and thank God every day that he did not make me a Mets fan. That's one of the things I'm most thankful for. Besides, health and celebrity and all the great gifts that I've been given in my life, good looks,
Okay.
not being a Mets fan.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets.
Yeah, that's the only good thing about them is that song.
Meet the Mets. Time for Biter Bullschultz, Derek. Biter Bullschultz brought to us by The Shop Indy, theshopindy.com, 918 Broad Ripple Avenue for all of your nostalgic T-shirt needs, or, of course, now with the name, image, likeness, college athletics, the T-shirts, David Bell, for example, Trace Jackson Davis, a little bit of everybody, and then, of course, the things of yesteryear throughout Indiana, all available at theshopindy.com.
You ready for statement one?
Yep.
10 wins will get the Colts into the playoffs. Buy it or Bull Bleed.
100% Bullschultz. I mean, I realize there's a lot of parity in the NFL this year, but I think if the Colts were to go 10-7, it's not going to win the division. No, Tennessee's going to go 12-5.
Tennessee, the team that just lost to the Jets yesterday, is going to win 12 games?
Yeah, the fluke loss.
I don't know. Tennessee's been real. Not that the Colts have been great either. Tennessee's been real meh to me, too. I think Tennessee's looked very underwhelming through 4 weeks. Things can change. I'll say Bo Bleep. I don't think 10 wins is going to be enough either. They already lost the head-to-head in Nashville. If they had won that game and they were sitting at 1-3 and Tennessee was at 2-2, I'd be more inclined to say 10 wins would be good enough to win the division, because I think if you ask me the over-under on wins for the AFC South, I'd say 10.5 to win the division. Whereas before the year, it probably would have been 11.5.
You may be right, but I don't. If the Colts are at 10 wins and they do not win the division, I don't think that will get them a wild card.
Yeah. You have to, for the first time in a long time, you have to absolutely sweep Jacksonville and Houston. Have to.
Yeah.
Those two teams are terrible. You can make an argument that right now, especially with the Giants and Jets winning,
Derek,
Jacksonville and Houston are the two worst teams in the league.
If you look at the wild card alone, the Chargers are good, right?
Yeah.
So Kansas City and the Chargers, one of those is going to be a wild card. Okay?
Well, I'm not giving it to the Raiders after 3 weeks, the division.
No. I'm sorry. I wasn't even counting the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm saying if one of them wins the division, the other one's going to be a wild card.
Probably.
And then you've got
the AFC North teams look good. Cleveland looks good.
You got Baltimore,
Pittsburgh
Cleveland,
stinks.
Cincinnati. I don't know if they'll sustain, but there's another wild card right there, right?
Yeah.
So
AFC East doesn't look as good.
You're running out of invitations.
Jets stink. Dolphins stink. Patriots are kind of in that mix with the Colts, I think.
Patriots looked pretty good last night, I thought, but
I think the Patriots are a little bit better than the Colts are. At least
that's
where
probably
we
fair.
sit today.
They look more disciplined.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think 10 wins is definitely not a slam dunk. I'm going to say Bo Bleep for that. Statement 2, the Big Ten will have a team in the college football playoff. Buy it or Bo Bleep?
Oh, buy it. Ohio State's going.
This is what you do every year with them, though.
And every year I'm
okay,
right.
well, they make it a lot.
Every year I'm right. You
Big
remember
Ten,
the year they opened with a loss to Virginia Tech, and I'm like,
yeah,
Ohio
I thought you were crazy. And they won the whole thing.
I know.
They have 5 teams in the top 11.
I know.
Now, part of that is the fact that the ACC sucks. The Pac-12 is irrelevant and awful.
How about, yeah.
And the Big 12 is whatever.
Don't sleep on the Beavers.
The Big 12 is just kind of like, hey, Texas put up 50 against TCU. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, Ohio State's going. They're in.
Michigan State's up to 11th in the poll.
I know.
Michigan State.
Michigan's 9th. I know.
Yeah, Michigan's another one that they're going to have to show me, because Michigan's done this before where they've gotten to start. Well, yeah, but Michigan's gotten hot 4 or 5 wins out of the gate, and you're like, okay, maybe this is the year, and then they go like that. Yes, I think process of elimination, you would think that really one of those 3, Penn State, Iowa, or Ohio State, is in a really good position. If Vegas was making odds, it'd have to be north of 60%, right? That one of those 3 teams gets a playoff berth?
Yeah.
So, yes. Statement 3, and the final one for Buy it or Bo Bleep. Pumpkin is kind of gross. Buy it or Bo Bleep?
Are we talking about pumpkin-flavored stuff? Pumpkin pie? What?
All of it. Anything edible that's pumpkin. Not like a pumpkin. Nobody thinks an orange pumpkin is gross. But like pumpkin spice, pumpkin donuts, pumpkin pie.
Totally agree. Buy it.
Gross?
Pumpkin pie is nasty.
Pumpkin pies. I've never liked pumpkin pie, but I love PSLs, pumpkin donuts, pumpkin spice latte. I'm gonna get one after the show. Pumpkin donuts, delicious. I made pumpkin cookies once, really, really good. Okay. I just baked them myself. I have the recipe, Derek@QuarrieandSchultz.com if you want it. So I like all that.
You just put batter and throw in a bunch of pumpkin and let it go?
No, you've never cooked or made anything. Like, have you ever made a sandwich for yourself?
Peanut butter.
Okay. Yeah, you've never actually prepared food. You go out.
I have never.
You go out to eat every meal, or
I
eat
have
a
never
chance.
cooked a dinner.
Yeah,
that is correct.
And you're a 50-year-old man.
49.
Okay, that's incredible. You've lived a half century, and you have never made a dinner.
That is correct.
Yeah. I don't think pumpkin's gross. I think pumpkin pie is not gross. It's just not my favorite. I would much rather have apple or strawberry or whatever else.
Okay.
You ever have strawberry? Strawberry pie is really good. I'm surprised more people don't have strawberry pie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Okay.
Better than cherry. Cherry's too sweet for me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cherries. Okay.
Next week on the show, episode 56. That's an easy one to pick.
I don't like pecan pie.
Episode 56. Who am I thinking of?
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, the greatest.
Pretty
Greatest to
hard
ever
to
do it. So we'll do that next week. Actually, next week, because the Colts play on Monday Night Football, we're going to go at 7.
Okay.
So Comcast will still be 7:30. We have to keep the TV time, but the stream will start early because we want it to end, obviously, before the Colts game begins.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
just kind of a programming note for next week. Thanks to Jordan Shue, Jake Morris, Greg Rakestraw, everybody here with the ISC crew. We will see you next time here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.